Welcome everyone to the CPO series where our world-class chief product officers share their firsthand experiences in building products, building companies, and perfecting their craft. So I'm Christina from the Dragonboat team here as your host today with our guest speaker, Dominiek Leenknecht, CIO from ECS. So before we kick off here, quick word on Dragonboat. So Dragonboat enables product leaders to accelerate outcomes with a suite of products for road mapping, portfolio management, and strategic planning. So go ahead and check out dragonboat.io/CPO to learn more. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to officially introduce our guest and one of our customers from ECS, Dominiek, Chief Information Officer at ECS. So a little bit about Dominiek. Dominiek comes with over 20 years of experience as an IT professional in various sectors, including consultancy and high-tech development. So he started in 2022 as CIO at ECS, where he leads a team of 50 IT professionals and oversees product. So to make sure that teams focus on the right priorities and that new digital transformation programs can be kicked off, Dominiek has set up a pragmatic IT project and governance approach in which Dragonboat plays a significant role. So it's an honor to have you here with us today, Dominiek.
Thank you.
Cool. And so that brings us to the topic for today on leading mission critical IT portfolios with confidence through Dragonboat. So we'll first kind of go over a little bit about ECS, and Dominiek will walk us through the digital transformation journey and what that's all about. And then we'll cover kind of their solution for IT portfolio management, how they've been streamlining projects, visibility, and delivery on time. So to kick off here, I will let Dominiek provide a quick intro and talk about who ECS is and what they do.
Thank you, Christina. Well, ECS is in fact an acronym for European Container Services. We're a leading logistics service provider, in fact. We move equipment throughout Europe and over the channel, so between Europe and the UK. We are making a big intermodal shift. So we want to move more and more equipment with trains, with boats, and less via the road, of course, as all the companies have the same worries nowadays. I joined ECS in 2022 as a CIO, and I found a great IT team over there working very hard, but also not always working very focused. So a lot of projects were going on. It was very difficult for me to get grip on the reality. What are the people working on? Are it the right priorities? I was not always able to answer the management on the questions, what are you working on? Which resources can I use? And so on and so on. So I had to look around to really find a pragmatic, a no-nonsense approach to do the project portfolio management. So I had quite some challenges going on.
Speaking of challenges, can you talk about some of those challenges related to IT portfolio management that ECS was experiencing prior to kind of finding Dragonboat?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, so ECS has been very successful the last couple of years. A lot of projects have been going on, have been started up, and the coordination between those projects was not always very effective. Whether you talk within ICT or between business and ICT, it was always a struggle to find the right resources, to find the right teams to do something. So first of all, we needed a solution to have a better alignment between all the parties, to make sure that it was not one person to work 300% of his time, while other persons did not have enough work. So that was the first thing. Secondly, for me, I noticed people working long days. It was not always clear what are they working on, and it is everything priority. And if it was not visible for me, I could also assume that the rest of the colleagues of the company, of the direction, was wondering sometimes, okay, why are they not working on my project? So I wanted to have some kind of visibility there. So third, I wanted to have a central source of truth for prioritization. So if I could see all the projects one way or another in one central place, this would also allow me to have the good discussions with the rest of the management team. What is the most important thing? Is this project still relevant? Are you sure this is the one we need to start up next, or should we take something up first? And fourth of all, yeah, all the teams were working very independently, which was good, which meant they did not need other people continuously to help them in their projects. But on the other hand, it was also lacking some kind of glue between the different teams. Sometimes the infrastructure team needed to do something for another team. They did not realize the impact of their project on another project. So also their independency is good unless it leads to too much friction, of course.
Thinking about those challenges, what goals did you have in mind, or what were you trying to work towards to solve for some of those challenges?
Yeah, well, we have a very large project coming up. It started already from an analysis perspective. We have to do a very big digital transformation to replace all our legacy software systems. We have quite some in-house developed systems that reached their end of life. So if we would just have to battle it as one whole, it would lead to an impossible battle. So first of all, I needed to have structure. I needed to have insights about what is most urgent, what is dependent on what, and so on. So I want this digital transformation to succeed. That's in fact my only goal at this moment. But next to that, or in fact to facilitate this, I really want to implement an effective IT project portfolio management system. I want to be able to understand what the people are working on, to see that they are not working on too much projects at the same time, and to make sure that the scope is clear and that each project is finished properly before starting a new one. That's in fact, in a no-nonsense way, what I wanted to create. And if we can do that, again, I cannot promise to take up all the projects at the same time, but if the people see that the machine keeps running, that we start picking up projects one after another and we finish them properly, people will also have the confidence that their project, although they still have to wait a couple of weeks or months, will be picked up as well. So these are my three most important goals here.
That's super helpful content. What was your evaluation process to find a tool, and kind of why you ended up selecting Dragonboat as your tool of choice?
Yeah. Yeah, well, as I might have said already a couple of times, visibility was key for me. So I needed to have some kind of simple tool, and preferably not just an Excel, like which is a typical tool in companies, where we could have one central view and where all the product owners could update their information properly, so that that view was there. If the view is there, you can start to make the next steps to start up your processes and so on. So I had a look. I think it must be more or less 1 year ago to about 10 tools, from the well-known ones like Microsoft Projects to AHA, Product Board, Craft, ClickUp, and so on. All of these tools, they are perfect. They are all serving their goals well, but I wanted to have a simple tools to start with. I did not have the time to have a governance first of 3 months to set up a very complex project management tool. And that's why I really was happy with I found in Dragonboat. So Dragonboat was very intuitive to start with. It's also very simple to start with if you know very clearly what your goals are. I did not want to have a very complex system to start with resource management and capacity management and so on. But on the other hand, I wanted to have an application that would be able to do that anyway in a couple of months, in a couple of years. So for me, I chose Dragonboat for the two main reasons: start up very quickly in a very simple way, but have a product with vision, with a strategy behind it that also shows us that additional capabilities can be delivered also in the end. In a couple of months, I do not only want to manage ICT projects, but all the transformation projects in the system. In a couple of months, I want to get rid of the gut feeling. How long will it take? I want to be able to do proper resource management planning and so on. And these are the things that can be activated in Dragonboat without blocking me in the beginning to start very simple.
Speaking of that, what are some ways that you've been using Dragonboat now for your portfolio and risk management?
Yeah, indeed. So first of all, it's a standardized framework for all the IT teams. Everybody had their own list. Right now, we have one global list with all the projects in it, not only for the IT teams, but even for the whole company. When I started at ECS a couple of months ago, I did my tour and I really asked the people, yeah, what do you expect? Which projects are important for you? What do you need most urgently? And I think it's typical. I got 20 completely different lists, and even the priorities were different, or the topics were different, and so on. So I wanted to have a simple overview right now, also allowing me to take some additional steps in project management. We started a very simple project charter approach as well at ECS. So when we add a new project in Dragonboat, there must be a description of what's the business case here. What is the definition of success from the beginning? Which steps are you going to take? And how will you make sure from the beginning that the project will succeed? Only if I have an answer on these questions, I still add the project on the Dragonboat overview. So it was a big shift in the minds of the people. It was a big transformation there, but it helped them also to think about projects correctly from the beginning, to realize that something is maybe not needed, or to see if they don't have a business partner to make this project happen, that maybe it's not the right moment to do it right now. So that's what I mean with a standardized framework. Dragonboat is simple. The idea behind it is a little bit more complex, but we make the right choices now. So that's a very important one. Secondly, I wanted to have better structured planning and prioritization. So I want to be able to have this discussion with the executive committee. All right, there are 3 new projects launched the previous month. I can only pick them up in March next year, and let's make some choices now. So there's one single source of truth. Everybody can understand the impact of shifting priorities. Is it easy? No, there are always too many ICT projects. We always want to get everything done immediately, but if you can have an adult conversation on it, this helps so much in here. So thirdly, I also want to be able to plan with more than one time horizon. So what are we going to do next? What's next quarter? What's the next half year? What's even further in the future? And what does it mean for the next quarter? So what are we going to pick up next week already? What should wait 2 weeks? So we start from a very broad perspective, and we refine it the closer the next project gets on our roadmap, of course. And of course, for me, the most important thing is visibility. I hope we don't have 1,000 lists anymore in the company. Some people have access to our Dragonboat. Everybody can see where we are, what we are working on, where we are behind schedule. I'm sorry, it can happen. It will happen in the future as well. But I want people to know what we are doing in the first place, so that they can also judge, well, maybe I have another project request for within 3 months. It's not that important if I see the other requests from the other colleagues as well. So it's all about openness, understanding each other, and collaborating.
Yes, definitely hard to plan without that alignment between teams and management. And I keep hearing the word visibility, and definitely great to get out of those spreadsheets. You know, it's a common challenge that a lot of companies are working through. So especially as you start to scale and grow your teams, and ECS is on their digital transformation journey now, so critical to have that visibility and the right planning and prioritization process. So everything you're saying, you know, makes total sense.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, and the last part I'd love to kind of conclude with here is it would be great to hear from you, Dominique, since implementing Dragonboat, what's been different and how has this really ultimately helped to change those plannings and processes that you have in place?
Yeah, so we only started really using Dragonboat at the end of 2022. So it's only a half year ago, a little bit more than since we started. As I said, we had a very long list. People were not always aware what is on the list and so on. We have really had good discussions also on direction level about what is the most important thing right now. If I have to show my IT team a list of 165 unclear projects, well, it doesn't give them perspective, and it could lead to frustration anywhere in the company because it's just a long list. When will it be my turn? We had a good discussion about the projects that were defined, and we came to an actual list of only 35 of them. It's still a bunch of projects, but when we planned it within our team, I think we now have a planning horizon until the end of March 2024, which actually means, yes, there is room for new projects. Don't be afraid to ask one. In the worst case, we can only start it up beginning 2024, but maybe some projects can even move. So this creation of perspective was of a very huge value for me in the first case. Secondly, so the visibility has improved. As I said, no more scattered spreadsheets around the company. About 75 people really have access right now to what is ICT working on. Not everybody checks it out every day, of course, but just the way that I can say to people, have a look in our Dragonboat. I have no secrets. Have a look what we're working on, leads to trust within the company. And third of all, the fruit is there. So as I said, when I entered ECS, a lot of projects were running at the same time. And I had sometimes the feeling, are we finishing projects or are we just adding new projects on top of the ones that we cannot even finish properly? I think about 30 projects have been finished properly already. So from the bunch that was there, people have really showed, okay, we have reached this point. It was not the full scope as discussed with the business, but because there was a deadline right now, we have made choices. So it really leads to efficiency throughout the ICT team and within the company. So I think these are really the three main takeaways at this moment. Again, we're only working six months with the system at this moment, but yeah, I'm happy with these results already.
Yeah, amazing story to hear about ECS's journey and how you've been leading them to the success there. But digital transformation it's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. So I'm happy to hear Dragonboat has been a helper and playing a part in helping your org with the initiative. So before we kind of wrap up here, Dominique, is there anything else you'd like to share? Any other advice for other folks that may be going through like a similar transformation or similar challenges that you're experiencing?
Well, they always say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Just start with it. That's the only advice I want to give. So start with it, start small with it, really understand what your problem is that you want to solve. And check if Dragonboat is the good solution. Just go ahead. There's nothing to lose by trying, because for us it's only the first step that we have taken. We are thinking about project portfolio management in a much broader way for the whole company transformation. We are thinking about resource management with a PMO and so on. So by starting with Dragonboat, I have completely new perspective. I have completely new ideas. I really know right now which practical steps I can take to go further. And I think that's the key message in digital transformation. The future is uncertain. Every future is uncertain. By just starting, you will realize quick enough how good a tool or an approach will help you there.
Amazing. Okay, so to wrap up here, I will conclude by sharing through partnering with thousands of product leaders like Dominique himself, we've learned they need the right tooling for their teams to achieve those goals, right? You can check out how Dragonboat can help your product teams by booking a free consultative demo at dragonboat.io/CPO. And then just some last resources for you if you want to continue and connect with Dominique on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, his LinkedIn is over here. And then we also have some additional CPO resources on our website, as well as a free responsive product portfolio management certification that you can do. And then we do have an ebook on accelerating outcomes if you want to check that out. And then that is all the time that we have for today. Again, thank you, Dominique, for joining our CPO series. Loved getting to chat and hear from you about your story. So that's going to be all for today. All righty. Thanks, everyone. Bye.